We're gonna water glass some eggs. Why? Because last year we did have to break into our stash of water glass eggs. And if you did look at our prior video where we were cooking up a whole bunch of eggs that were literally almost a year and a half old, you'll know that almost all of them were perfectly good eggs. There were only 2 out of the whole 3 dozen that we'd cooked up that we probably wouldn't have eaten. Yeah, probably wouldn't have eaten. However, they were still very good eggs in there. And what we're going to do right now, because we did have to dip into them last winter, is we're going to do 2 containers of eggs. And we're going to put them in the glass jars. And I figured I would walk you through them so you could see just how easy it is. So you start with a glass jar. I like to start with a clear glass jar. 1, because I can see in it. If one breaks, the water gets really cloudy. And 2, like yellow cloudy, you know when one's broken. And 2, I don't like to stack in a 5-gallon bucket because that pressure of eggs on the top to the eggs on the bottom, it's not really good for the eggs. I don't want to break the eggs, just want to gently store them. So 1 quart of water, 1 ounce of pickling lime. Let's get to measuring. We got our scale. Let's get going. Here is where I'm going to tell you you're going to want to wear a mask and you're going to want to wear gloves because you do not want to breathe in the dust and you don't want to come in contact with your hands. Don't do as I'm doing is what I'm saying. Putting our 1 quart of water in. I'm going to put another quart and then I'm going to put 2 ounces. So 1 quart to 1 ounce. Since I'm putting in 2 quarts, I'm going to put in 2 ounces of the pickling lime. Hang on. I'm just turning my scale on and zeroing it out. And I'm going to open up my pickling lime and I'm going to carefully measure out just 2 ounces. And then we're just going to throw it in there. It's really not rocket science. Well, maybe it's scale science, but not rocket science. And that's 2 ounces. It's very fine powder. You want to make sure, you do not confuse it for baking soda or baking powder because, yeah, or even cornstarch. And put it back in the package and then just seal it up. And that goes back on the shelf. And then we're just going to pour this in. This is where you just gently want to drop it in. And then we're going to stir it and we're going to be very gentle with stirring. A lot of controversy on this. We had them, we ate them. We don't serve them to anybody because we don't want anybody to think that, you know, the smell. Now we're just going to gently stir it. I'm using the same container I used last year. We talked about, my husband and I had a conversation. I cannot get this container free of lime. I've tried everything that I used to use for cleaning very stubborn stains, including rubbing alcohol and certain cleaners. So we're dedicating this to lime water glassed eggs. Now, if you don't have the ability to dedicate a specific pot, then go out and find one. That's all I'm going to say. Now, we save the pristine, clean, non-washed eggs. You got to have non-washed eggs. They still have to have the bloom on them. And we're going to gently lower them down. What you're trying, you want them to go up. You want the point down. It's not going to happen on your first layer, people. It's just not going to happen. Don't even worry about it. Just gently lower them down and don't drop them because you don't want any cracks. And then close the lid. Now, you're going to want to wash your hands immediately afterwards. And let me see if I can answer any questions that you might have before you know you have them. They have to be farm fresh, clean, unwashed eggs, which means the bloom still has to be intact and they can have no contact with water. So on days that it rains and the eggs get wet, I cannot use those. You're going to want to keep them in a sealed jar and you're going to want to label. So what I'm going to do, since I just put 4 eggs in there, I'm going to create a label, date and everything, and I'm going to keep track. I just ripped it. I'm going to keep track of all of the eggs that are in here so I know. And here is last year's label. Every time I added eggs in there, I just put a slash and that was my count. And then I total it up, I dated and everything. I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Here's my new label. I put the date that I started and the date that I'm going to end, and I'll add that in. I put number 1 because I'm probably going to do 2 of these. And then I have my tally of how many eggs. And I am just going to put this on the front, and I'm going to stick it in a cool, dark place, which is my laundry room. And there you go. It worked last year. It's going to work this year. It's just for my backup. We still have a refrigerator full of eggs, and all chickens stop laying eggs. I'm not sure if people understand that, but all chickens go through a cycle. So in the winter, they stop laying eggs as much as they were in the summer and the spring. The spring is their big production. That's their fireworks show. But the winter, they slow down considerably. They deserve a rest, just like we all do. And this is going to help get us through from the fall all the way through the winter and until we get to the spring. Once we hit spring, we're golden, just golden. And they don't stop 100%. They just slow down about 90% less production, usually, unless you keep a light on. But I tend to let them go natural. So you guys have a great day out there.